Thank you very much. Well, I mean, I enjoyed sitting on the stage that much that I went to the organizers and I'm like, can I do another panel? I just like the stage. And they're like, sure. So here I am having an amazing all-star panel of brilliant minds from different fields of Web3. And those who were here before, they already know who I am. I'm principal at Gate.io Ventures, one of the largest exchanges venture arms. And enough about me. I think we need to let our amazing panelists do the introductions. Christian, why don't you go first? And 1 minute each. I have my time here.
Absolutely. So I'm the international ambassador of the European Blockchain Association. We're mostly there as advisors for governments and regulators to help them set their regulatory frameworks. We've been a pivotal role at setting up the Liechtenstein Blockchain Act back in 2018, so pretty early, I would say. And that led us throughout the world to help other governments and nations to set their regulations on DLT blockchain.
Yeah. So thanks to you, companies can incorporate their funds in Liechtenstein. You're the person to thank you. Hey, where is the applause? Where is the thank you? Like, there are so many blockchain funds that are based out of Liechtenstein for the very, very favorable regulations. Kat, a word about you?
Hi. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Kat Miroshnikova. I'm a co-founder of Unit Network and Unit Ventures. So for Unit Network, we're building consumer-faced layer 1 blockchain and application specifically focused on tokenizing different types of asset classes. So we are basically helping people to tokenize their assets, get funding, get liquidity, and engage their communities. And also for communities, where people get access to different types of asset classes where they can invest in. And for the unit venture side, we are ecosystem fund, so we have been supporting projects and early protocols on the tokenization and real-world assets. Thank you.
Thank you, Kat. I'm super excited. We have at least one more woman in the panel because sometimes I go to moderate these panels. There is me and like 6 gentlemen. And I'm like, when will we have a panel where it's going to be 1 gentleman moderator and 6 ladies? Organizers, take notes. Arjun, please.
Hey guys, I'm Arjun. Thank you so much for having me. I head growth at Fuel Network. So Fuel Network is a high-performance layer 2 built on Ethereum. We raised $80 million from Blockchain Capital, Bain Crypto, Coin Fund, Spartan, and several other investors. We're already in mainnet, and our token's coming out in like 1 week. So exciting times for us. And again, the problems we solve is that what we kind of realized within Ethereum and generally the blockchain space is that a lot of scalability problems have been solved, but there are several which remain unsolved. For example, the ability to scale without centralizing your network. So at Fuel, we figured out a way to scale to hundreds of thousands of TPS while still ensuring that the node network operates with in less than $1,000. So be fully decentralized, be like Bitcoin, but at the same time have the performance gains which allow sort of the next generation of applications to go live on blockchain. So that's a quick brief about us.
Thank you. Himanshu?
Hey everyone, my name is Himanshu. I'm the co-founder CTO of Arch. So Arch is a US-based, fully regulated lender. Lending, as you know, is a key component of any asset class, particularly in crypto. We lend against Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. And our focus entirely is on security and trust. We don't rehypothecate assets. And now we're going global, so we'll be in the UAE at some point soon as well. And hope to meet some of you here.
Thank you. And last but not least,
Nice.
Thank you. Beautiful handkerchief. I love how you're bringing some style.
Thank you
here.
so much. I can't take credit for this. This is completely my father. I have pictures. I'm 4 years old. I'm wearing the pocket square. So my name is Saqr Ereíqat. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. I feel, every time I come to these kind of events, I remember a time when we couldn't get 5 people in a room to talk about blockchain and crypto in Dubai. And today, I think there's 3 parallel events in this. So it's an absolute proud moment to see this ecosystem grow. I wrote my name in blood next to this technology in 2014 when I was more luck than anything else was able to define the blockchain strategy of Dubai. Fast forward a couple of years, we built the first venture builder in the space. We built some of the first sustainability ventures in the space. Crypto Oasis helped more than 600 companies move into the region, invested in another 100 of them, and I'm absolutely excited to be here with you guys.
Thank you. So let's open this panel with something more exciting. So everyone is saying mass adoption. Let's bring Web2 to Web3. Literally the previous panel that I was moderating, that was all about it. And everyone, of course, want to build their businesses, want to grow. And of course, you're all bullish on crypto. So what is one thing you guys have done throughout 2024 that really helped the Web2 to come to Web3, to bring the adoptions? Not for you guys, having Bitcoin backs pumping, but what have you done for the space? And what can maybe people here in the audience learn to focus on in 2025?
I think we're still, unfortunately, at the point where a lot of people don't know what this technology is about, and they think it's about making some money with dog pictures, but it isn't. Right?
It isn't?
This
What a shocker.
So if there's one thing or three things, it's education, 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 education. I really think
So
that.
How do we educate?
How do we educate? It's I think more freely available than ever before. I'm completely self-taught in this space. Today you go online, you'll find YouTube videos from Princeton universities, from MIT. Courses are as cheap as $20, and we really need to educate ourselves. And then afterwards, we need to stop worrying about the technology, because if we think about it, the light is on around us right now. Do we know how the light is on and how the electricity is working? No. Do we know how the internet works on our phone? No. But we know that we can do great things with it. So after we educate ourselves, I think it's important not to get too deep into the intricacies of this technology and focus on the actual use cases.
Well, I assumed it's just a magic internet money, but please, Himanshu, and then yes, afterwards.
I'm definitely going to echo that. I think education is the number one priority for us as well, in educating people on exactly what they can do with their assets. A lot of people have now accumulated significant, as you say, bags in these asset classes, and they want more functionality on it. So they want to be able to borrow against it, they want to be able to get yield on it, they want to be able to store it somewhere securely, they want to understand, to your point, what the regulation around it is, and I think that's key as well. So for us, what we've done outside of educating our customers and educating new people that are entering the space is also to focus heavily on regulation and security this year, and talk about it a bit more as well, just to show that this is a key component of this asset class, and it's only going to grow from here.
And as fancy as it sounds, actually, some of the companies, not all of them, but some of the companies, exchanges, L1s, L2s, have academies on the website. And people go like, why academy? Like, I don't want to be educated, I want to trade, right? And that's when I come in and say, maybe you want to be educated first and then trade. Because if we all bash acronyms and like 3-letter abbreviations to people and they don't actually understand what's it all about. And then people like in private ask me, so you're this crypto guy? Well, actually not so much, but more the blockchain guy. So maybe you want to recognize me for this. But do you have a question? Yeah, now I'm in crypto as well. And there's something that's called bridging. Do you have an idea how that works? Well, it's annoying if people ask you, because it's like 100,000 people who ask you. But in the end, if we don't educate the people and answer those questions, somebody else does it. And maybe it's better we do it because we know our stuff than rather anybody else. And that's why I find academies that are really down to the truth and to the detail super important, because a lot of people go on ChatGPT. What if it hallucinates? And then it basically gives you a wrong detail of advice or a full wrong advice, and that's why you lose your money. So for that reason, believe the people who really know this stuff.
And also on the infrastructure side, right, we have to make this a lot more intuitive for users. Like even today, like you talked about bridging, even wallets and everything, all the infrastructure is still very exposed to the user. I mean, we keep telling ourselves, it's early days, but Bitcoin came out in 2009. Right, so it's been 15 years of progress, and we don't. I would dare say, as a space, all of us don't have much to show for it. So I think education-wise, it's important, but it's important that the infrastructure sort of goes more to the background and the use cases come forward. I think it's important. I think one thing which 2024, if you look at the general crypto themes which came out this year, it's been a lot more about applications and dApps than infrastructure. I think that's super important, and it's something which even the Paradigm and the Dragonfly guys keep talking about, which is like obfuscating the wiring, right? Like in the house, for example, the wires are in the background. All you see is the socket from which you can draw electricity. So blockchain has to become like that. So use cases have to be more mass market, but more importantly, all of this other stuff, all the infrastructure stuff, it has to be like one click. It has to be like Web 2. Luckily, the tech has got to the point where it's possible today. But this has to be a commitment from our side, because 15 years onwards, if you're not able to solve user onboarding, then we're in trouble. So, yeah.
I would say, like, in the past few years, crypto industry been super focused on building up the foundation and the building blocks. So as we saw the general purpose chains and infrastructure projects that were super popular. And I think right now the trends are shifting towards consumer phase. Some the solutions and tools that are super focused on the retail users, the consumers that actually come and easily trade, create their assets, use the gamification models to engage and to understand what they're actually doing. Because if you look at the past, if we're looking at our crypto ecosystem, it's heavily blockchain based. The blockchain and developer based. Right now, we have projects that are adopting and tailoring towards the retail users. So a lot of protocols, they started doing the account abstraction, and account abstraction is basically using a very simple way to store your private keys. So for Unit Network, for example, we implemented email, password, and PIN, and people can easily create their own wallet and account, and they don't have to check where the store and what are the technical implementations of it. So I think this is the evolution, the adoption. This is where we are looking for right now.
One thing that I wanted to kind of echo what Christian is saying, like, yes, we need education, but there is a very big problem. Imagine opening any day the media outlet, CoinDesk, Cointelegraph, or even the mainstream media, and you see a crypto section. What is the usual headline you will see? This 16-year-old made 100,000, 200,000 by trading a picture of a dog. What does it say to us? What does it imply? If a 16-year-old made six figures, probably me, let's say someone or even older in their 30s, 40s, 50s, with years of financial experience, I should be making more if this kid made a lot of money. There is a very big problem with the mainstream media that portrays crypto as this get-rich-quick industry with very little knowledge and very little understanding, you can become a millionaire overnight, which is, some people get lucky, the same way some people get lucky playing in the casinos or in the lottery. So we, as people representing our industry, need to educate that, yes, even though there are amazing opportunities to build substantial wealth, it's not overnight, and it takes so many years of building products, investing, learning to do something meaningful. You want to add something?
Yeah, Laura, I see a big problem in this entire space is that we're all talking crypto, right? So I have a bit of a different path into crypto. I understood blockchain and then I went into crypto. Let's assume this entire hall that we are in, this is all blockchain, I wouldn't say that crypto is much more than this stage. But right now, if you open the media, everything you hear about is crypto, Bitcoin at 100K. But that's not Web3. That's not why I joined this space. That's not why the Dubai government said, hey, we want to start adopting this technology. I firmly believe that we're touching on a technology that is a generational opportunity. I think that this technology that is called blockchain will have a profound impact to the world, similar to what the internet did to the world. Because the internet, what happened with the internet? So I'm not that old, or at least I think. And I remember a time where I needed to go to a library to find out. I was 7 years old. I was fascinated by the Bermuda Triangle, and I needed to go to the library to find out about the Bermuda Triangle. Today, on my phone, hey, Bermuda Triangle, and I find everything that I need to find. Similarly, I think blockchain today, we are okay with the fact that all of our transactions are just siloed. You know, you have a bank account with Emirates NBD, you have a credit card with MasterCard, you have another credit card with Visa, and really they're completely siloed off. I believe that blockchain will connect us to our transactions in the same way that the internet connected us to our information. The problem is, and you know, when we look around, a lot of us also are actively working in the crypto space. But blockchain is so much more than just crypto. And unfortunately, the entire conversation is just cryptocurrencies right now.
And jumping in right here, completely diverting from crypto, and you're absolutely right what you said. One project I'm advising on right now is with a harbor in the region here, I cannot say more, and they wanted to know something about should we go on the blockchain. And the first question they ask is, so don't expect much from us. Isn't the blockchain actually a database? Because we have a database already. So can we skip the conversation? And I was like, actually not, because what's your main problem? So comes out, the main problem is containers go missing. Somebody owns containers who shouldn't. And why? Because the containers are not going missing because there's a pretty decent thief, but there's also somebody who basically obscures the database they have. So it's always a tandem. And giving the people the impression of there is no chance to fake the blockchain, because every transaction, as you said, is protocoled there. They were like, okay, so if somebody steals the container, something else is going on. Yeah, right. So we're not talking about crypto at all. We're not even talking about tokens in that sense, but we're talking about a database-like thing. And that's what I mean. If people hear blockchain, they go like, oh, is this a necklace? Literally, I get this question. And this is where we need to educate people of like, yeah, it's a database thing, but it's super secure and it's all visible. It's all immutable.
One of the things we talk a lot about in blockchain, not crypto, is tokenization, right? So for me, the promise really there is ease of access. So you can access traditional structures such as at some point in the future, your house will be on chain. You can do a title transfer on chain. Funds are going on chain, so you can access part of BlackRock's fund on chain. Biddle is on chain fully. We raise capital in a traditional financial structure called a CLO. That is now getting tokenized, so funds can trade within themselves without waiting for unlocks there. You have secondary markets going on chain as well. So the access that you get from doing that, from being able to access US treasuries from Ondo and other platforms on chain, is quite significant, and that's a big opportunity for people like retail who didn't have access to this in the past to now go and participate in an economy which they were traditionally closed off from. So ease of access, I think, is a big thing in the blockchain space, as we say it, and we should definitely turn the conversation away from just like cryptocurrencies, which is the easy, hard thing to talk about.
Yeah, but I kind of have a bit of a contrarian stance on this, actually.
Let's start a fight.
Right. So for me, so I started in much the same fashion. To be honest, I was a developer. I saw the technology. I read the white paper. I was like, wow. And then I actually got into crypto quite late. But one of the superpowers of blockchain is the ability to financialize anything. Right. When you said tokenization, what are you actually doing? You're financializing something. Like the 16-year-old kid who made $1 million off a picture of a dog financialized attention. So ultimately, blockchains have the superpower that, number one, you have the ability to democratize asset creation, and you have the ability to financialize anything. You can financialize your time, you can financialize attention. And that's what makes it interesting. So for me, when I study this, like I'm looking at sort of a new social construct emerging, where people are free to create their own assets and give them whatever value they choose. I can decide whether this dog picture is worth $1 million or $100,000, and people can decide that. And they never had this power before. Right? Before, it was governments and centralized entities telling you, this is the value of this product, and that's it, maximum retail price. Like these are constructs imposed on us. So when you take the reins off, you take the shackles off, and now people are free to decide what is valuable, what is value, what is asset. That's when these kind of interesting social trends come out. So for me, I think I'm actually very excited whenever I read about these dog pictures, when I see someone do these things. I'm like, wow, this is an entirely new social phenomena, which we've never seen before, because people never had this power. We could never globally pool liquidity before. So I'm actually very excited by this. I want to see where this goes. Clearly, there are losses to be made. So there was a study where people looked at all the tokens minted in all of 2024, and only 1.7% of all the tokens had more than 1%, or rather had any value appreciation. Right, so 99.3% gone, right? But we are seeing new social phenomena emerge, right? So I think it's a very exciting time for us to be a part. I think this is a part of internet culture now. And I think we're going to see even weirder and crazier things now. And I'm very excited about that. So.
And adding on that, like on the pure part of value that comes with Web3 tokenization, because our topic goes around Web3, right? I would highly advise you to Google or chat GPT your way through Web3, Maslow pyramid, FOMO, and belonging. And you find so many good things that explain actually how that business around Web3 goes. A lot of people go like, yeah, Web3, Web2 was before, that's the internet. That's the new internet right now, right? And you have to explain that Web3 actually is the ecosystem, is tokenization is possible. We have exchanges now, we have decentralization, the blockchain, you have crypto. Web3 is not like Web3. Web3 is kind of like the buzzword above all the other buzzwords that we discussed already. So really go into FOMO, belonging, and Web3, and you find you can learn so much for 2 years in a row.
There's something I want to pick up on with which both of you said. So in the last 10 years, there's been two trends that have been emerging. One is AI is automating a lot of tasks, and then you have inflation making purchasing power for a lot of people, especially younger people, much lower. The cost of buying a house today is 10x what it was 30 years ago. So a lot of people aren't able to participate in the traditional economy today because they've been priced out of it. But with Web3, they're actually able to do that and participate in a new kind of attention economy, which didn't exist before, and that they understand better than most people. So it's turning the head on what it means to have value in an asset, which is what you said earlier, and how people can participate in that asset when they don't have the ability to do that in the traditional structures and the traditional economy that they grew up in the last 20 years.
Thank you, Kat. You wanted to say something?
Sure. I think the most important thing for me, and I'm a big proponent, is the trustless systems. And when we are explaining blockchain technology, I'm explaining the way where you don't have to trust people, you have to trust technology. And it's code-based. The code is the law. So sure, educate yourself, learn how it works. But then again, if you understand how the system works, then it's easy. You don't have to rely on the third-party custodians and all those things. And then I think that's the reason why it's so super interesting to see that right now the markets are shifting towards less speculations, but real-world businesses. So we're talking about tokenization and a lot in previous discussions. And how can we bridge the real-world assets, the businesses that generate actual revenue, the actual use cases on-chain, and combining it with the trustless systems where people can directly access those type of investments globally. So why Bitcoin, why cryptocurrency were created is first of all, it's still a use case of having access to different type of assets to invest in, right? And then payment rails. So how do you invest in those assets? For example, the treasury bonds for tokenization, it's mostly in US. And how can we create this bridge of for global markets, developing countries like in Africa or Russia, UAE, to invest, and then in different countries their different assets and then generate wealth that is generational. I think this is also a very important thing to understand why we are here and why we're building in crypto, because it's democratizing the access, but also it's a long-term investment opportunity where you don't have to rely on the government, you don't have to rely on the third-party custodians and wonder, hey, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and then I'm broke.
So to recap, education is very important. We all are responsible, each one of us here in a panel and here in the audience, to spread the word, educate our parents, grandparents, friends about what is crypto. It's not just meme coin, it's not just Bitcoin, it's also technology. And basically be the messengers. But now let's move forward with our discussion. So let's say we have these users, we have products launching, attracting hundreds of thousands, millions of, for example, airdrop participants, of testnet participants. They come in, they get tokens, and the moment a project is live, they dump in the market and they don't use the project anymore. And Gate Ventures research estimates that only 5% of crypto users are active. Majority of others are just airdrop hunters, are reward hunters. And as a venture capital firm, we see a lot of these projects who come to us and they have 100, 200,000 Twitter followers, 100,000 Discord community members, but then you look at their on-chain activity, you look at the buy pressure they have in the launch, and that's pennies, that's nothing. So how can we create businesses, marketing campaigns, communication campaigns, and overall activities that would actually push users to not just be there for the reward, but be active users of, let's say, another lending protocol when we have hundreds of them, for another bridge when we have hundreds of them, another layer one when there are so many. How do we engage these users, these people, to be more than just for reward?
I think it's fair to say, to zoom out for a second, right? Mm-hmm. Because if we think about our life as we know it, as the life that we're all interacting with, when you think about it, how much has technology impacted us just in the past decade? Think about it for a second, right? I moved to Dubai in 2008. I was getting used to getting lost all the time because there wasn't Google Maps that I could just switch on and someone sends me a location, right? So if we're really fair, and to Arjun's point, right? Yes, it's been 15 years, but what's 15 years? In our entire technology journey, this isn't even about blockchain. Technology has just started to impact us as a society, as humans, right? How long has it been? 50 years? 60 years, maybe, if you want to be fair. If you want to start at the internet, it's been 40 years, right? So really, if we think about it, in our journey of humanity with technology, we're probably at the first second of the first minute of the first hour of the first day of the first month of the first year of technology adoption, right? And with that, new technologies like blockchain, quantum computing, artificial intelligence, IoT, they're all starting to penetrate our societies. And they're led by people like us that are somewhat techies. And we are not representative of society, unfortunately, right? If you're here, I congratulate you. If you're sitting in the audience, you're an early mover. And I say that as someone that's been in this space for 10 years. I think you're as good as starting off today, just by a show of hand. Who here has been in the blockchain space for more than 2 years? All right. Who's here to find out about all of this? All right. You are my people. You are still early. If you think, oh my God, Bitcoin is at $100,000, I've missed the train on this. No. We are just starting this journey. So I congratulate you for being here and educating yourself. And in answer to your question, I think we're going to start seeing more and more adoption when we actually meet the needs of the people. Because I'll tell you what, downloading a MetaMask, writing down 24 words, connecting, doing that, I'm somewhat of a techie, and that was a scary experience for me. I've been in crypto for 10 years, and I do crypto transactions for the past decade, and every time I hit the button, I still feel like oh my God, did I do something wrong? So until we start fixing that user experience, until we start fixing what users actually need, I don't think we're going to get anywhere.
So before Yes, we want engagement, please. Excellent answer. But this is very macro level. This is very like zoomed out. And yes, in the long term, of course, there's going to be more adoption. But what can people in the audience do right now? Let's say they're founders, entrepreneurs, they have their businesses. They need to make revenue, make money. They have shareholders, investors that they report to. What can they do right now? And let's other first panelists to answer them first to you. What can they do right now to engage?
I think ask a lot of questions. Everybody is going to offer you versions of the same thing. And on the surface, they all look very similar. You want to go borrow. There's 20 different protocols. There's 100 different protocols. There's 5 centralized providers. You want to go use an exchange. There's a million versions of that. Ask a lot of questions. Ask where your money is going, how's it being held, how you're regulated, why should I trust you? And if there's no place for you to talk to someone, probably shouldn't be using it in the first place. If there's no information you can find, probably a bad idea to begin with. Start there, in my opinion.
So to switch the question and then to you, Christian. But what do founders can do to attract that attention, Christian?
Can I zoom out to zoom in?
Yes. The zoom out, zoom in.
Jumping onto Saqr's point again, just today I read an article that said 1964, where computers were room size. There was no personal computer on a table, underneath a table, laptop, whatever. It was room size. That's 60 years ago only. And if you happen to engage in innovation cycles, it has to be that bulky, it has to be that clunky, it has to be not mass adoption to find out, is there a space for mass adoption? So how many people of you are still used to that fancy modem sound when you actually dialed in with Netscape browsers? And if you think about this today, you go like, why did I do this? Was it safe? Was it bulky? Was it UX? No, it was shit. But at that time you were using it because it was the only way. And all of a sudden we know how to install plugins into our browser because it's 2024, but early already. Zooming out on that brings me to zooming into an entrepreneurial stakeholder point of view. What's the challenge? What's the problem I really want to solve? What am I really interested in? And having zoomed out to that, where are we on the innovation cycle of Web3, ledger, of lending, staking, liquid staking? It gets more detailed and more detailed. Where are we on the innovation cycle? And then I can actually see, am I early? Do I want to engage in it? Because the earlier I am, the harder it is. Or do I see this opportunity, be early, run into hurdles, run into obstacles, and still take it forward? And what's the challenge that I want to solve? Or I actually want to get interest on the crypto I'm holding. Let's do staking. How does staking work? And then it comes back to education.
To the point you mentioned earlier, right? So you talked about two things. You talked about incentives, right? And we talked about what entrepreneurs can do. Now, the biggest, like one of the most powerful things which blockchain can do is cut out all the middlemen, right? So you can go directly to the user and you can interact with the user and you can take that feedback and you can do it in a way which you cannot do in Web2, right? That's like uniquely powerful. The second thing is something I mentioned earlier is that it allows you to globally pool liquidity, right, from all across the world, right? So you, as such, sort of connecting with one global community and one global pool of liquidity. So if you're an entrepreneur and you want to raise funds and you want to tokenize them, for example, and you want to achieve some level of utility, you can do it much faster in Web3 than you could ever do it in Web2. So that's as far as what entrepreneurs can do today. So of course you can learn about Web3 and everyone should do that. But this is the real power you can harness, where you can get plugged into the community, raise funds, immediately get started and cut out all those middlemen. The second thing too, incentives. Look, human beings typically are incentive driven. Like we choose, like for example, when we are studying or when we are like in school or in college, we want to take on more rewarding careers, right? We want to take on paths which are more rewarding to us. So human beings are incentive driven. The problem happens is when the core utility of the product becomes the incentive itself. And it's not about the utility. So for example, I'm not using the staking protocol or for example, borrowing and lending because it's better. I'm using it because I'm getting more incentive. And this has been tried in the Web2 world in terms of cashbacks, in terms of other kinds of incentives, usually never results in sticky behavior, or I could say that the percentage is very low. So all things considered, I think applications have to focus more on utility the incentive in some sense either offsets a user cost or let's say user friction.
Arjun, we have 1 minute and I still want Kat. So can you wrap it up?
Right. No, that's basically the point.
Kat? Because I have a last question afterwards, so please.
Sure. Thank you so much. I would say make it easy. So I think all of us, when we create products, if answering Laura's question from the founder's perspective, don't overcomplicate things. If you are using blockchain, you don't have to put in front of people, hey, this is blockchain, this is super complicated. Just put it on the back end. I mean, sure, like, is anyone of understanding how the AI models work? No, I don't have to know about it. So I'm just gonna plug my questions to ChatGPT and get my answer. That's it. Don't overcomplicate. And I really agree with Ajit on the aligned incentives. So you need to have the financial modeling on why people buying tokens and what benefits they are getting. Like, for example, we implemented time-based staking mechanisms, so people basically would claim their staking rewards on a weekly basis. So it's very simple for us to say, hey, we have a lot of active users because they come and they claim and they know why they're doing it. And then another way of doing it is marketing tokens. So when we tokenizing real businesses, we say, hey, if you're a token holder, if you bring more volume, if you bring more capital to the network and to the businesses that we're tokenizing, you get the revenue stream, you get the revenue share. I think the overcomplication is the huge problem right now in the space. And when you make it simple, so when you have no code-based solutions plus aligned incentives, when people really know why they're getting to the space, how they make money, and how they're helping projects and brands and businesses that they really like and get the financial upside, this is the solution.
Thank you, Kat. And now the last question, 1 sentence answers. Only 1 sentence. I'm going to cut you off after 1 sentence. What is one piece of advice you would give for all these entrepreneurs who are here in the audience if you would be starting all over again? And this is the day 1 of you entering blockchain. 1 sentence.
A16Z has a wonderful crypto startup school. That's one, right? The other thing is forget about the technology and focus on the human that you're trying to solve something
Thank you.
for.
There's still a lot of low-hanging fruit in this world that needs to be solved for. So start with the basics. Don't overcomplicate things.
Thank you.
I'd second that point. Focus on the user.
Kat?
Focus on the long-term wealth generation for your future kids and generations. Earn Bitcoin, earn blue chips, crypto, and get your way into the understanding why you're here and what you're going to.
Thank you, Christian.
Engage in what you're interested in most and find out what you're interested in most, maybe through the latest publication through A16Z that gives you a long list where the future goes.
And to summarize, make sure you build your network, because in this space, the people you know, the people you engage are the people who are going to help. And with this, I think our amazing panelists deserve a round of applause. Thank you, everyone.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much once again. Give a big hand to our amazing panelists.